Good deal. Well, thank you. Well, we are in the beginning of September, and with every new month, we have a new theme. And today and this month, there's no accident that we get an opportunity to look at facing the fear, facing the fear. And this month's outlines were written by a group of practitioners. And this week in particular, we're going to, as we look at facing the fear, we're going to actually look at the word faith and a question of faith. The theme here says, what is faith and how do you define faith? And more importantly, what does actualized faith look like? It says faith moves mountains and faith without works is dead. We've heard that before, right? And they go on to say, which means faith is not passive, but rather it's vibrant and an active demonstration of the divine showing up in, through, with, and as you. And each and every time that I think about the word faith, a lot of things come up, a lot of definitions come up. And so I simply want to open up the microphones for a moment. And, what is the first thing you think about when you hear the word faith? What comes to mind when you hear the word faith? Not the name faith, but the word faith. What comes up for you?
Peace.
Peace. How so? How is it that faith evokes peace for you?
I mean, I have to do it in the negative. When my faith was not this strong, I did not have this peace.
So like because of your faith, the byproduct or what you get an opportunity to sense as a result of having faith is you get to feel this sense of peace, huh?
My world was in chaos when my son died. And only through faith was I able to not only just heal, but to believe that joy is my birthright. That each day God wants me to be happy. He offers it to me. I just have to step into it. And only faith did that. And you.
Faith and sunshine, huh?
Faith and sunshine. That's what I live by.
Thank you, Bertha. Nancy, I see your hand up.
I once was told a definition of faith was complete trust in matters unknown.
And how does that work for you? How do you get a chance to use faith? And how often do you use faith when you use that definition, if you don't mind me asking? Complete trust in matters unknown.
Complete trust in matters unknown means every minute, as Jan was talking about, that would be ideal for me. Through my actions, through my words, through my thoughts, through my prayers.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hannah. Thank you, Nancy.
When I think of faith, I think of like opportunity, because once we are living in the faith instead of like we're trying to make things work or managing things or becoming too controlling, once we have that faith, there's like the freedom of opportunity. That there are things the opportunities that are going to come to us based off of faith are probably different than what we would have gotten if we were going to be controlling every which way without that like faith.
Yeah, beautiful. So I love Nancy's definition. Some other definitions. Thank you, Hannah. What is faith? One of the questions on the theme was like, what does faith actually look like? What does actualized faith look like? And if we were to ask ourselves this question, you know, is, you know, there's a fine line. When we start defining words, it gets a little bit interesting and tricky, you know. Complete trust or confidence in something or somebody. You know, one of the other ways that faith has been defined is a conviction and belief and acceptance and trust. You know, a conviction, like, you know, there's no doubt whatsoever. No doubt whatsoever. But what's interesting is that on the back end of faith, when something actually manifests, then what happens is you had faith, something manifests, and then you have this knowing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how faith is strengthened then by a knowing, because it actually happened. Like, you know, when Nancy says, you know, complete trust in matters unknown, each and every moment technically is a moment that is unknown. Like, knowing something is actually past tense. Does that make sense? That when the moment that we know something, it's already part of the past, not necessarily part of the present moment. And in preparing for our talk today, especially with the overarching theme of, you know, facing our fears and really looking at fear, many people, and I've heard it said before, that fear is the absence of faith. You know, fear is having faith in something negative. I've heard that said as well. But as we begin to look at, you know, here we are moving into another month, living with COVID as if it's, you know, that relative or friend that, you know, came to visit and just hasn't left yet. You know, the one that's annoying, and that it's kind of like, would you go already? Like, you know, like, we need to serve COVID-19 an eviction, like, get out of here. You know, that causes, or it begins to bring up fear. And I remember in the beginning of COVID, in the beginning of March, when the board made the decision that we were just going to kind of close down and pause our physical visits while we learned a little bit more, and how folks were so afraid. And then we had the folks, you know, we have folks not only in this community, which I love, because variety and difference is where we thrive. Variety and difference is where we thrive, and there's room for all of it. You know, in other spiritual communities, you know, it's just like, well, come on, if we have faith, if we really use these principles, we should be able to meet and da 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 and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, yes, I get it. Yes. And how is it that we actually use our faith on a day-to-day basis and still keep each other safe, and still not give in to the fear, and still thrive in the face of COVID-19, in the face of the racism, in the face of, you know, this political time where folks are unfriending one another because they have different political views? Like, in the face of all of this, where does our faith come in? And how can I use my faith to actually begin to bridge these gaps? How do I use my faith to build trust? How do I use my faith to really fulfill upon our vision and mission, that by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life? Now, our faith has a lot to do with conviction. I'll tell you something. I have faith, and some people will say, hey, is this really faith? I have faith that if I stand up and walk over to that light switch right there, that the lights are going to come on. You know, that is complete trust in matters unknown. Because you know what? Last night, when I came home, our power was out. And I have faith. I have faith that the lights were going to come on, and and the power was going to come on. And when I saw the Edison truck and the guy come out, I had faith that he could repair it. Now, was it unknown? Did I know for sure? I mean, I was hoping, I had this conviction, and I had this trust that Edison sent out their most intelligent technician that could handle a repair. Now, what some people call that faith, they would be like, that happens all the time. You know, things go down, people fix it. Things go down, people fix it. The lights go off, the lights go on. But when we look at that definition of complete trust in matters unknown, in that moment, it was clearly unknown. Like, I didn't know for sure that the power was going to be back on in our home. I didn't know. I trusted. I had complete trust that eventually it would happen. But is that faith? Is it faith because it's happened over and over and over again? And are our demonstrations actually spiritual muscle builders, if you will? If we see faith as a spiritual muscle, are our demonstrations spiritual muscle builders? Now, many of you have submitted prayer requests, praying for someone's health, your own, maybe finances, your own or someone else's, praying to overcome and adversity, things of that nature. We all have submitted prayer requests or have asked for prayer. Now, when I ask for prayer, that is an act of faith. I am strengthening my belief. I am strengthening my belief. I am believing that where two or more are gathered and the word is spoken, that the activity of the law says yes, and that a demonstration happens. And because that demonstration happens, my faith then is strengthened. It's kind of like, this belief stuff works. But what happens sometimes, beloved, when we pray believing it is done and it doesn't necessarily work out for you in the way that you thought it would? Would someone like to share about their own experience, maybe, or about how you feel when you enter into prayer, or where you're expecting something to happen, or where you're saying, I have faith that it's going to happen? Like, maybe I applied for a job and I have faith that I'll get it. And then you never get the call because you never get the job. Is there anyone who would be willing to share about what happens to your faith, or what happens for you when it doesn't turn out the way that you expect it to? Go ahead, Jan.
Those are incredibly frustrating moments because they become a yellow warning light for me. They become, okay, what this didn't go how I thought it was going to go. And then I have questions to ask myself. I can dive into the disappointment of that. I can be sure it was because there was something wrong with me. I can be sure of all kinds of things and assumptions that I make about why something doesn't happen the way it's supposed, what I thought it was supposed to. And then I have to go, wait a minute, and I have to realign myself with the fact that I have faith that the right door always opens for me. And I may not always see it. I may not recognize it. I may not be in good timing with it at the moment, but that it will open. And then I'll be able at some point to look back and go, so that's what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Go ahead, Bertha. I see your hand up. Will you unmute yourself, please?
So I would constantly pray for my son. I would pray for wholeness and healing and peace. And then my son died, and I kept saying, I prayed so hard and God didn't answer my prayers, but he did. My son is whole, complete, and at peace. So sometimes we don't know that he answered our prayer. Do I like the way God answered my prayer? No, but it wasn't about me. It was about my son's wholeness and peace. And for the demonstration, I'm not done being sad about my son. I'm not. And when I'm sad, I'm as sad as the moment I heard it. But my experience now is that the sadness will pass because joy is my birthright.
Yeah, and in that instance as well, even in what Jan shared, thank you so much to the two of you for continuing to contribute to this community in such a profound way, because these are very personal, circumstances and situations that some of us can really truly identify with, and others maybe not so much, but we can empathize, right? We can be like, wow, like that would kind of have me questioning my faith for sure. Now, here's the reality of faith is, complete trust and confidence. So it may not ever work out the way we envision it. However, when I trust and when I have complete faith that life is for me and never against me, when I am steeped in the knowing that my life is the unique and unrepeatable way that God is showing up in human form, and that which is true of God is true for me, and it's true about me, when I am steeped in that knowing, then even when things don't show up in the exact manner in which I think they should show up, I ask myself, how can I see the situation differently? How can I view this with a different perspective, with a perspective that, yes, even though I didn't get that job, guess what? Something else happened and I have an income flow and an income stream, and I don't even have to go to work. Like, which one would you rather have? That all of a sudden, when I begin to be willing to see things just a little bit differently, to see things through the eyes, remembering that I have complete trust and faith that this indwelling power and presence is always seeking to express itself fully and completely, that everything is always working out for my highest good, for our highest good. Something good must come from this. Something good must come of this. Whether it looks like it's what I wanted, or whether it looks like something that I didn't want. I love that Mert reminds us, especially in prayer, when we're praying for something, that if we say, if we're praying for the thing itself or something better. This or something better. Because as the life of God that you are, the life of God that is sitting in your seat right now, as the life of God that you are, everything is always coming together for your highest good, whether it seems that way or not. And when we have complete trust and confidence in this indwelling presence, it is then that we can a little more easily begin to accept that the outpicturing of whatever's happening is actually for our good. You know, very, very early on, I think it was probably like 3 months in, we took a look at the gift of COVID. And that even though we were missing each other and the connection and the hugs, that what it gave us and what it continues to give us is an opportunity to really look at what we value. It gives us an opportunity to do some real soul searching, to really begin to make connections in ways that we have never connected before. Take a look at what's happening for you individually and notice where your faith is. Notice if you are in worry, doubt, and fear, because that is indeed complete trust or confidence in doom and gloom. And sometimes it's easy when we're focused on the news and when we're focused on the world of affairs, sometimes it gets really easy to get caught up in that tornado, in that whirlwind of doubt, fear, anxiety, stress. It's like complete confidence in doom and gloom. And I invite you this week to begin to look and to begin to practice having that conviction and that complete trust and confidence in all of these matters that are unknown, but knowing that something good must come from this. Having faith that this indwelling presence is the dwelling place of the Most High. And to the degree in which you entertain love, joy, peace, abundance, harmony, divine order, to the degree in which we entertain that in our own bodies and mind, so within, so without. So it is incumbent upon us to practice and activate our faith and trust in the good, in the divine order, in the harmony, in the peace of life, so that as we have faith in that, as our belief is anchored there, then we begin to see it in our neighbors, in our neighborhood, in our cities, in our states, in the activity of each and every human being. But it starts here. It starts with me. And that, beloved, is the question of faith. It is so, and so it is.